Good morning, everybody, and welcome to our digital skills webinar on social media power and the power of marketing through social media. My name is Angela Abbott, and I'm here with my colleague Joshua Ballum. We are co-facilitating today before the presenter comes in. There he is. He's also going to be helping with the chat. Just want to introduce he and I quickly before we move into some of the important information before we kick off. So Josh and myself work in a team for the Digital Economy Unit. It falls within the Department of Economic Development and Tourism, also known as DDAT. And a lot of the projects we work on as a team are linked to, enabling businesses with digital transformation and adoption, accelerating the digital skills, talent pipeline, increasing investment in research and development in the province, supporting the technology and innovation ecosystem, and this all falls within our Western Cape Government Growth for Jobs strategy. So that's a bit about us. All right, so just some important notes that yes, the session today will be recorded. We will be doing some editing. So if those of you online today were in the session last week, same thing, we just need to do a little bit of cleaning up and editing, and then we will distribute the recording. All right, so we have a policy where we are not allowed to permit any external unauthorized AI bots or any of your AI assistants that may be taking notes. So if you have that on, please kindly switch that off, and Joshua will also monitor from his side. We have deliberately disabled and deactivated your microphone and video just to limit the disruption. The time goes very quickly. However, if you do have any questions or you want to make any comments, there's two buttons at the top of your screen. The one is the chat button, and there's also a Q&A option. So if you can put those there, Joshua will monitor that through the session, and then we will allow our presenter time to address that either during the session if we have time or at the end. Okay, so Joshua and I may intervene from time to time if to manage the session. We are online. We understand, things can be impacted. So just to give you sort of a heads up around that, and also maybe some seconds delay if we're switching between myself and the presenter. So let me go ahead and remind you who is our presenter. We are delighted to have Aslam Levy presenting on this topic. You can see he has a long history, expertise, and experience on the topic today. And just to mention the fact that yes, he is the e-government team leader in the Department of the Premier, but today he is presenting in his own capacity, because this is not part of the role that he performs in the Department of the Premier. So yes, so that's Aslam, and as you can see, he's done some really amazing stuff, and directly even with the FIFA World Cup, and so you are in good hands today, put it that way, very good hands. Okay, our agenda topics today: why digital marketing matters, the key statistics, and the business case for going online. We do realize that there's a variety of you on the call today, from very small business to medium to slightly larger, or somewhere in between. So we'll try and pitch it at a level that would make sense and hopefully assist no matter where you are in the life cycle of your business. The second topic, Google Business Profile, how to set it up and optimize it, looking at some free tools, And then Canva, practical content creation, where you do not need any design skills. So that's great. What to post, the 3-3-3 content rule: educate, engage, and promote. Social media platforms, Facebook setup and best practices. Common pitfalls, 6 mistakes that are generally made and how to fix them. Free digital toolkit, summary of 8 free and low-cost tools that you can use immediately. And then just talking around it, maybe looking at putting a 30-day action plan into effect where you can, week by week, start acting on some of the ideas and the knowledge that you gain here today. And then just some key takeaways. Okay, so right, I'm going to just quickly, before I hand over to Aslam, I just want to do a quick poll just to see where your knowledge and skills and what are some of the tools you are using to market your business. I'm just going to stop sharing for a moment. Okay, so on your screen, you should see the first question. It just says, just asks how your confidence levels are with social media marketing. Low, medium, or high. Just a quick click in either of those just to allow us to see where the levels are. And then I will swing over to the next question. And this is just around, what do you currently use to market your business? And this is a free response format area.
Okay, I'm going to put my camera on just briefly with my airplane pilot microphone set. I'm wearing this because I'm in the office and I don't want any noise around to come through, but I will be switching off my camera just to keep the stream nice and smooth. So thank you and good morning, everyone. I'm looking forward to the next hour as we do a little bit of a social media crash course. I'm looking at the comments. I'm seeing quite a few people saying medium. And I'm assuming in this day and age, most people would have used social media. A little bit about my background. So as Angela put up on the screen, I did spend some time working with Cape Town Tourism, leading up to the 2010 World Cup and then through the World Cup and post-World Cup period. And some of my work there was working with Cape Town Tourism members to help them utilize social media and attract more business during the World Cup period. So this was about 2008, 2009, leading up into the World Cup. And what was interesting then was social media was fairly new. And so the first step was to help people understand what social media is and then get to how they can use it. I think in the year 2026, I think most people should be familiar with what social media is, but our conversation for today is about how do you extract more value from social media, especially if you are a small enterprise and so much of your time is required to run your actual business. So I have a few tips, I have a few suggestions and ways ideally that you can maximize the benefit of social media. So we still do start off with this slide, which talks about why digital marketing matters. There are about 5.5 billion internet users globally. Millions of people now shop online. I'm sure many of you have used Checkers 60 or Take a Lot, which I think 10 years ago would have been a bit more strange or uncomfortable. One of the, I don't want to say benefits of COVID because it was such a dramatic incident, but one of the changes I think I'd like to say that COVID did bring about is people becoming more comfortable with digital. And we've seen that trend continue over the last 5 years. So social media has become far more popular. One of the platforms that we will be talking about is TikTok. I think initially many people assume that TikTok is about young teenagers dancing to 30-second music videos. It's moved much further than that. It's much more mature now and is a valuable marketing platform. So the key insight for this slide, of course, is that small businesses that maintain active online presences can attract 3 times more customers than those that don't have. And the important thing that we're trying to get across in today's session is these are not big budget items. I tried to put together a plan and a set of products that either need no funds or very little funds. What social media does require, though, is consistent effort, even if in the initial weeks it feels like there's not much traction. It definitely is a snowball effect, and you have to kind of work through that initial rolling period before that snowball really starts to get going. But let's go to the next slide, and we'll start off the presentation. So when you search in Google and you look for a particular business, you will notice that a profile page comes up. It normally will show some pictures, opening hours, those kind of things. And the Google My Business profile has become one of the major traffic drivers towards businesses. And people also use it to find businesses that are close to them, businesses that are currently open, and it almost becomes a mini website. The challenge, of course, with websites, for those of you that have gone through that sometimes painful exercise of getting a website online, is you have to buy the website address. You have to pay for hosting. You have to get a web designer to build your site. You have to get a web developer potentially to connect your e-commerce module to your website. A lot of work to get that web presence up and running. What the Google My Business profile does is it gives you an opportunity to put all of that key information right up in front of the search result page. At the Western Cape government, the website that we manage and run as part of the team I work with, the number one driver of traffic, and I'm sure this is with probably 95% of websites, is search, and probably 90% of search is Google. So you definitely want to ensure that your Google business profile exists and is updated. Customers can leave reviews that allow you to respond. Now, for many people that have online presences, they are afraid of reviews. You will get a customer that complains, but I think it's much better to have a complaint and then you respond to it, and other customers see that you are responding in a tone and a manner that is trying to reconcile the concern of the person that has left a bad review. So that is actually a net positive, I think, even if, you know, 1 or 2 people are disappointed. Again, it's free to set up, and the setup steps are on the right of the page. All you'll need to do is go to business.google.com. I know Angela did mention that they will be sharing the recording of this session, so you can then have these steps and watch them and go through them in your own time. You sign up with your Google account. What that means is your Gmail account. You enter your business name, the category, your address, and then your hours. What generally tends to happen is that Google needs to verify that you are indeed the actual owner. So they will either phone the number that you've indicated on the business information. Someone needs to answer the call and then confirm that that is the business, or they'll send you an email to the business email address and you will have to confirm that you are indeed the owner. In some cases, you will find, and especially I noticed with fast food outlets, stores that sell fast moving goods, is that sometimes a customer or a public person would have created the location already and put in the business name. What you will then need to do is claim that business and identify yourself as the owner. I'm just looking at the question. So the question of when I used it, there was a cost when people click on the page, even when they don't buy. As far as I'm aware, the Google My Business doesn't have a cost to it. I think where there are costs involved is where people pay for ads. So there are Google ads that you pay for, and that is a different product from Google. And again, the model for Google is that you pay per click. And so if someone does click on your ad, you pay for that click. And whether they buy or don't buy is not part of the offer from Google. So let's move beyond the Google My Business page, which I think is the foundation that you should have when building your online presence, because search just drives so much traffic. So keep your hours updated, especially things like public holidays or days when you close early, so that customers don't drive all the way to your business and then find that it's not open. Many people don't know that on your Google business profile, you can also post content. And you will have noticed when you look at Google business profile, sometimes customers also will post pictures, which is actually good. I find it quite helpful. Sometimes I would want to go to a restaurant, and before I get there, I want to see the menu. And there have been cases where I'm like, I don't really want to have to navigate through the website and find the menu page and then find the menu. And then when I go to the Google business profile, I find that one of the customers has taken a picture of the menu and I can actually just see the picture. So posting of content by yourself as the business owner, as well as customers, is actually great because people just get that info before having to navigate to your location. You can add your services, add your products. Again, this also helps with search engine optimization. So I'm not sure if you're all familiar with search engine optimization, which means that when people search in Google, will Google bring your business to the top of the search result page? So what this means is that if your business is called Aslam's restaurant, for example, right? So Google knows I'm a restaurant. If that is the only information that's online, Google doesn't know what kind of foods I serve. And so it can't send customers to me because it does not know, beyond me being a restaurant, what happens in my establishment. So within the Google My Business profile, I will say, I do burgers, I do smash burgers, which is currently this popular trend going around. I do smash burgers, I do ribs, and I do chicken wings, for example, right? So what happens then is when a customer goes to Google search and they type in smash burger because they've heard about this smash burger and they want to try one, they type in smash burger. Because you've added smash burger as a product that you create at your restaurant, Google then lifts your restaurant up into the search result page because it knows that you make the product that this person is searching for. They might not be searching for Aslam's restaurant. They might not even know that I exist. But Google knows that the item they are looking for is sold at my location. And so that is where search engine optimization comes in, and why you should always add your services and your products onto these kind of web pages. As I've mentioned before, try to respond to every review, good or bad. Try to be professional. We know that there are some difficult customers that just want to be difficult, but I think other customers see how you handle those complaints and then make decisions on whether they'd like to purchase from you. So don't ignore negative comments. And another tip that I'll probably mention a few times is when you have a customer that is inflamed and is looking for a fight, do not debate that person in the comments online publicly. So they will say X, you will say Y, you can't get to an agreement, and this long thread of disagreement is visible to everyone online. The best response to someone that you can see is agitated is to say, Good morning, Bob. Thank you for your concern. I'm sorry that our product has not met your expectations. Could you please provide us with your telephone number or your email address, and we will get in contact with you. And in that way, you move the conversation offline where you can resolve the issue, but not publicly where everyone sees the spat between this agitated customer and yourself. So again, using relevant keywords. So this example here is affordable hair salon, Cape Town. You really have to add more descriptors to your information online so that Google can better understand what your product offering is. If we only said hair salon, Cape Town, Google wouldn't know, are you catering for high-end design in terms of hair salon? Like, are you on the upper end, or are you affordable for more kind of cost-sensitive customers? So the more keywords you provide, the better Google understands your business. Yeah, let's go to the next slide. Canva is a website that allows you to create posters, banners, and there's a free version. There are lots of templates, so it allows you to select a template. The free version does give you a limited range in terms of the pre-made templates. And if you find that you are using Canva very often, you can spend a bit of money for the subscription, and it gives you much more templates. So these can be, if you want to do a weekly special, or you want to do just general content, you use Canva. Now, this session isn't particularly a AI session, but AI, as you may know, is everywhere these days. I'm an advocate for people using AI. It's an amazing tool. And in this scenario, a tool that is similar to Canva that I would recommend for creating art is Google Gemini. So I didn't add it into the slide deck, but Google Gemini is really good in terms of art creation. So you don't maybe have a designer that can design an image of a customer. Okay, let's go to Aslam's restaurant example. It's a customer sitting eating a smash burger. So you don't have the funds to get a photographer, to get a model, to get the lighting, all of those things, and you prompt it into Google Gemini and you say, create a customer sitting, and you can even take a picture of your empty restaurant, upload that picture and say, this is my restaurant, insert a guy eating a smash burger. And so tools like Google Gemini allow you to do that. But Canva, of course, gives you a bit more flexibility, and it's also a really good option in terms of content creation. So let's move forward. Once you now have, you've got your base in terms of your Google My Business page, you have a content creation tool, which is either Canva or you're using Gemini. What should I post? And this is, I think, where many marketers in general struggle and I think fall flat, is because the content becomes very one-dimensional in terms of businesses taking the stance of, I want you to know this. And it's very blunt and it doesn't pull in customers. And so what I've put on the screen is a 3-3-3 rule. So look at your content, divide it into 3/3, and try to post content across the 3 various categories. So educate. So people maybe don't know behind the scenes things about your industry. If you maybe are a window installation business, like where do you get your glass from? How do you cut glass? What kind of machines do you use to cut glass? Show them your workshop and how you cut glass. Like, I actually don't know how large sheets of glass get cut and what kind of tools you need. Do they use those water cutters? Is it a spinning blade? I don't know. And so if someone posted that, I might not at that point be looking for a window sheet of glass, but I would find that content very interesting. Also, what are questions about your industry that you think people don't know the answer to? And so you can kind of use that 33% to educate people. And you might ask, but how does this relate to sales? Because at the end of the day, you're busy with marketing. And this is the snowball effect that I was talking about in the beginning, because that person might not be a customer or potential customer at that point. But in watching some of that content, they'll be like, this is an interesting page. I'll follow this page because I'm actually enjoying this content. And they're not just asking me to buy stuff. Um, and so what happens later on, 2, 3, 4 months later, they are then maybe in the mindset of, some kid kicked the ball through my window and I need a sheet of glass. And I just remembered that Facebook page that I saw that was posting interesting video content, maybe I'll give them a call. And that's kind of the long game with marketing, is building awareness, building brand affinity. And then when the purchase opportunity comes, you are the first person that they think of. The other 33% in the middle is engage. So this is ask questions, share customer stories, show some before and after photos. So if you are, let's say, an interior designer, you show what that room looked like before your services were utilized, show a picture what that room now looks after you've delivered your service. And people like that kind of thing, like what was it before and what was the result after. You can also celebrate milestones, but make it milestones that feel genuine, that feel human, and really speak to that community. And then the last third is, I guess, where you do bring in some of that promotion of your product. And you can see it's only a third. So this is your special offers, new products and services, events that you might have, and more direct call to actions. So it's not 100% promote all day long. The other thing before we move on to the next slide about engage is that when people do engage with your content, please do reply to people, because it's very frustrating when I see brands do these, let us know in the comments what you think about XYZ, and people are posting and the brand just disappears and they don't engage with anyone. And then when they do that kind of post again 2 weeks later and no one comments, they're confused as to why no one commented, but all those people commented like 2 weeks back because they just didn't see the brand show up to join them in that conversation. But let's move forward and talk about Facebook for Business. So I'm not going to spend too much time on Facebook for Business, other than to say that there is obviously a very big difference between creating a business page and a personal profile. What I find sometimes is that, especially with the young startup guy that's bootstrapping his business, he was posting his deals and his product on his personal profile. He gained lots of followers, and everyone knows him as the guy that offers that product or service. But at some point, you have to migrate that to a Facebook business page. It does operate differently. It does have better functionality for your business. Again, please do complete the About section fully. This is also how Google is able to send people to your Facebook page. The more search engine optimized it is, the more traffic you will get to your pages. So whenever there's an online page that needs you to fill in your information, don't skip that part, or don't put like a one-word Aslam's restaurant, say Aslam's restaurant, we serve the best smash burgers and ribs in Cape Town. Or you can even say in Milnerton, Cape Town, if you are trying to target, that location. What performs well on Facebook? Photos, short videos. Facebook Marketplace has been quite vibrant, I think, over the last few years. And then if you really want to start putting small amounts of budget towards the content that you post. Many people think that marketing budgets needs to be in their thousands. It doesn't actually. You can boost a post from as little as like 50 Rand. And the benefits are that that boosted post is a paid post and it will be seen as a paid post. But what the indirect benefit of the boosted post is, it also organically lifts your other posts that are not paid posts. So people don't see that behind the scenes. But when I've worked with like small businesses and I've said, just put a 50 Rand on that post and run it over a day or two, you'll gain a few thousand views, but then surprisingly, all the other non-paid for posts also get a lift at the same time. The social media platforms are free to users that use it. Like you would never have to pay for Facebook or TikTok or Twitter, for example. Their business model is making money off ads. And so when you show at least some use of the ad platform, they start just generally lifting your page up. That's their business model. That's how social media platforms work. And I've mentioned before, respond to comments, take them offline if it is an agitated customer. So the tip at the bottom there is start with organic posts. Start just posting content across those 3/3. And then we'll talk a bit about analytics, but you look back on them and you kind of see which posts do well. And then you can kind of build on those posts that do well. Let's move to the next slide, where we will talk about TikTok. So TikTok for business, yes. Many people don't think TikTok is a platform for businesses. It definitely is. I will be honest, it took me a bit longer to get onto TikTok than others. I was a bit hesitant because I'm not a dancer. And so it was like, oh, I don't know what I do there, because that's what happens there. And around 2023, 2024, people started saying to me, I use TikTok as my search engine. I search TikTok for videos on recipes and where I buy things. And that got me interested. I was like, oh, something's happening here. So there is a myth that TikTok is only for teenagers. The reality is that it is South Africa's fastest growing social media platform, firstly. And secondly, that the fastest growing demographic is actually 25 to 44-year-olds. I actually have a TikTok page now that I do in my personal spare time. I post videos about government services and what you need to fill in the Z83 form and those kind of things. And I can see in the comments that it's not predominantly teenagers. Okay, not that teenagers would be filling in Z83s, but it's more mature audience. Lots of people on TikTok surprisingly saying, can you help my son? Can you help my daughter? My grandson needs help with a job, those kind of. So I'm picking up that it's quite a mature audience that's on TikTok now. So again, free to create, fill in the bio, add your services, make sure you add your WhatsApp or a website if you have a website. Now, here's the thing about TikTok that is very different to Instagram and YouTube. TikTok is very much about the information that you are providing rather than who you are. And I'm going to explain that in terms of a comparison to Instagram. So Instagram is also a photo and video platform, but Instagram is a platform that seems to work more with brand affinity. So people like the brand, they follow the brand, and the brand posts content, where TikTok is very much about what is the service, what is the video content. I don't care so much in terms of who you are, because the video content is short. So people latch onto content. The algorithm also brings more content that people like, not more people that the audience likes. So it's a very different, slightly different dynamic. And because of that, I start saying to people that ask me these questions about video, don't make one video for Instagram and TikTok. It's a very different platform. So you've got to tailor the videos for TikTok. TikTok, if you've used it, you'll notice it has a very easy flick up mechanism where if someone gets bored of the video, they just flick up and then the next video is there in an instant. Which means that when you create your TikTok content, that first 10-second hook is very important. So we call it a hook. What it means is you don't start your video with, "Hi, this is Aslam. I'm the owner of Aslam's restaurant," blah, 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 blah. Like that, like by the time you get to like 5 to 10 seconds in, that person has just flicked beyond. I would do a TikTok video for Aslam's restaurant and say, "In this video, I'm going to show you the most unique smash burger you've ever seen. You won't believe what I add into my patties." And so immediately someone's like, "Okay, what does he add into his patties that makes it unique? Let me stick around and find out." So you've created the hook. The hook is, why should I stick around? And so the kind of videos you can do here is a day in the life of your business. Just walk around your business, film things that people wouldn't normally see, or how your product is made, and be relatable. So what I realized also is people are looking for, especially TikTok, authentic, genuine. They're not looking for polished. I actually didn't post on TikTok for a long time because I thought, I've got a media background. So I studied multimedia. It's now like 20 years ago, probably more actually. And the thing I said to myself was, I don't have a good lighting setup. I don't have a lapel mic. I'm going to have to edit this video. I need an intro and outro. And I was completely overthinking the video creating process until one day I just opened my phone, switched the video to selfie mode, stretched my arm out and started talking into the screen, posted the video, and people were engaging with it. And then I realized that that authentic feel works on TikTok. And what's great for small businesses is that the capital outlay that you need is much reduced compared to, like, the professional brand videos that people normally made. So let's move, because I'm just aware of the time as well. I do want to have some Q&A at the end. So I'm just going to kind of brush over Meta Business Suite. So for businesses that are larger, if you have, let's say your Instagram's running well, your Facebook's running well, you have a WhatsApp channel, I would suggest you use the Meta Business Suite. So Meta is the parent company that owns Facebook and Instagram. And so there's one dashboard that you can use to post your content. There's a unified inbox where you can see all the messages people are sending you. You can see how your content's performing. You can see your paid posts in terms of boosted, which ones are doing well, which ones aren't doing well. And so you can kind of tweak all those things in the Meta Business Suite. Let's go to the next slide, where we will talk about some common pitfalls. So I've mentioned some of these already, but I'm just going to go over them again, just to kind of drive the point home. The first one on the top left is posting inconsistently or going silent. So that was the thing I was saying in terms of just disappearing or not responding to people. And here you have to set yourself a realistic schedule, and stick to it. I'm not saying post every day, for weeks on end. If you realize that in terms of my content creation, I only have one post a week or two posts a week, and you have, let's say, 5 items, don't post those 5 items this week every day, Monday to Friday, and you've posted your 5, and now you've got like 2 or 3 weeks with silence. And then next month something happens and you create 5 things, and in that week you post 5 again and you disappear again. Try to have a regular cadence. In that way, both your customers know, okay, like I'll see 1 post from this company per week, and also the platform knows, like, he's going to post once a week, and so when that post comes, we'll lift it up once a week. as I've mentioned before, don't only post sales content. These days, people are looking for brands that care about them more than just the money we have in our wallets. So try to at least have a bit more of a human, authentic side to building a relationship with your customer, other than just, I want you to buy something from me. As tempting as it is, do not buy fake followers or fake reviews. The platforms don't like it. And what will happen is that your pages look very weird in that this person has 100,000 followers and only 5 people like their posts that they're posting. So where's the other, 99,000 people that like this page? It just can come across looking very disingenuous. Don't use low quality or blurry photos. Thankfully, these days, this is not that big of a problem. Back, as I mentioned, in 2008, 2009, there were smartphones, but not everyone had a smartphone. But thankfully today, most camera phones, smartphones have good cameras, so that shouldn't be a problem. Don't ignore the comments. We've spoken about this one. And don't copy content without credit. So it's very tempting to just get a picture and post it on your page. Try not to do that. If you really are struggling for content, like I said, use Gemini and have it create some content for you. Maybe that's a session in the future that we'll do in terms of, and I know that Angela's also going to get a speaker on AI specifically, but maybe AI in marketing, and we'll do a few examples of how to use these new tools. But let's get towards the toolkit side of the conversation, which will be on the coming slide. So let's look at what we've spoken about and what the costs are. So the Google business profile, which is your first step. If you don't have one, please create one. You go to business.google.com. It's free. The only thing you'll need to do is verify the account somehow. So just remember that the number or the email address that you add as the business contact, they will try to contact you and confirm that you are the owner of that page. Canva, it's free. If you really are a business that has lots of design requirements, you can pay the subscription, which is $230 per month. But then I guess you will have to be comfortable editing designs or have someone that is good at editing designs. $230 per month if you are a business with lots of design requirements is reasonable if you consider how much you would pay an actual designer monthly for all of your design requirements. The Facebook, the Meta Business Suite, the TikTok, the WhatsApp Business, all of these are free. Google Analytics, I'm not going into it today. Google Analytics you will use more if you have a website. So if you have a website, it's slightly trickier to set up, but a platform like Google Analytics is used to get stats in terms of your website traffic. Where this is important is you can find out which keywords are people typing into Google that bring them to your website. Also, of your product pages, and hopefully you have product pages on your website that talks about your smash burger, your ribs, your wings, your fries. You can see where's most of your traffic going. Are more people coming to the wings? Are more people coming to the smash burger? And then if you realize that most of my traffic is coming to the smash burger, maybe I should do a smash burger special, and maybe I should put the smash burger image on the homepage because clearly that's one of my main products that are really driving my business, as an example. MailChimp, again, we didn't get into this, but I was kind of preempting that someone might ask me about email. Now, for many years, people were under the assumption that social media is the new thing and websites and email is from the late 90s, early 2000s. No one really cares about email anymore. Now, what we have found is that email is still quite popular. People do sign up, especially for brands that they have a high affinity with. And so there's a tool called MailChimp. It is free for 500 email newsletters that you can send to your customers. So you can have people sign up to a subscription list, and then you can send them a mailer to let them know about an upcoming special or an event that you have or some news that you'd like to tell them. And that's an email tool. So there is a question from Tim. So what are the risks of using Canva and similar apps in an enterprise environment where they are not approved by corporate IT? So I'm going to take the question and just modify it a little bit for the audience. So this audience, mostly small businesses, you need to be aware that when using AI tools, when you interact with them, you provide them with information that moves onto their servers. So if there's any confidential information that you are using with these AI tools, the information gets pulled, in most cases, out of our country to a data server elsewhere and lives there, and then is used to train the models. And so I guess that is the risk in using these platforms. I think if you are using the tools with public information, it could be better. But always be aware that with all these free, and I see your question regarding the free versions, free platforms, when you load content onto those platforms, you actually hand over that content to the platform. So many people don't know this because nobody, including me, reads the terms and conditions when we sign up to these websites. When you load a picture into Instagram, when you load a picture into Facebook, you give that platform ownership of the image. So the image that lands on Facebook, that lands on Instagram, that image, it's now on their server. They also own that copy of the image. So there are these risks that we need to be aware of. There was a question about LinkedIn and what's a good LinkedIn strategy. LinkedIn is a good strategy, a good platform, sorry, if you are a B2B business. So in the world of small business, you get your B2C, so business to customers, and then you get your B2Bs, your business to business, people that don't sell to public consumers, they sell to other businesses. And so LinkedIn becomes valuable for that reason. And if you are B2B, you probably have salespersons that are managing your client relationships. And so LinkedIn becomes very relationship driven around your stakeholders and partners in that B2B environment and how you showcase success stories or product reviews or awards that you've won, those kind of things. So LinkedIn very much for a B2B scenario, not so much for a B2C. I don't think anyone's on LinkedIn searching for a smash burger, as an example. But if I am doing B2B and I am a large scale restaurant operation, I'm probably looking for someone in the industry that sells high volumes of burger patties, for example. And so now I'm looking to purchase high volumes of product. And so I'm looking to connect with other people, maybe within that restaurant industry to, make some kind of deal in terms of high volume. Question there in terms can you share more about how to choose the platform based on the type of business that you have? I think I've made a small example there now in terms of LinkedIn for B2B, platforms like Instagram. So let me run through the way I kind of structured in my mind. LinkedIn, B2B, you are a business looking to engage with other businesses, so other salespersons, CEOs, decision makers. A good thing for LinkedIn is to also position yourself as a thought leader. So if you are, I'm again going to use Aslam's restaurant, but now I'm thinking B2B. I start doing posts about the sustainability of beef in South Africa with climate change and all of these things. So you kind of show that, you have a deeper understanding of the industry that you're in, and you kind of, that appeals to that B2B environment. If you have products that are more lifestyle, more, I would say, design, style, visually appealing, Instagram's your space. Instagram is definitely kind of a more visual platform. Facebook and TikTok roughly fall in a similar category. I'm going to say this in a way I don't mean it to be derogatory, but lower LSMs, like we all know who our target markets are, and there are certain platforms that are just more used by lower LSMs. So for those that are unfamiliar with LSMs, we do in the marketing and business space structure audiences in terms of low income, middle income, and kind of like your higher income audiences. So there are platforms that predominantly have more lower LSM audiences. And so if you have affordable products, or if you sell basic need items, you kind of target those spaces. Then there's a question about the Poppy Act and using these platforms. I'm not a Poppy specialist, and it's a very specific legal area. But I think most platforms these days do allow you to close your account and delete your account. So in that way, you are able to, at some point, opt out of these platforms and say, delete my account. Google does a nice thing where they actually give you a little data bundle where you can say, I think it's called checkout. It just gives you everything in a zip file. Yeah. I see a question about struggling to get Google My Business approved because the business does not have signage. I've not come across that challenge before, Courtney, but let me see. I've noted the question, and then maybe I can do a search on my side, and after the session, I could probably try and via Angela or via the chat, send you a response to that. Okay, we're on 5 minutes remaining. I think we are close to the end, Angela. I think this is the last one. I'm going to stop at this point, but I did want to just cover it very quickly. So this is your 30-day action plan. So in week 1, like I said, Google My Business is your first foundational item. You can create a Facebook page if you don't have one. Sign up for something like Canva if you don't have any artwork. In week 2, start looking at posting a few items. And week 2 and 3 is exploratory. You don't yet know what's going to work well. So don't feel bad when you post a few pictures and nothing happens. It's all about experimenting, trying new things in the first few weeks. And then by week 4, week 5, in the second month, start looking at the insights, start going to the posts, which ones did well, which ones didn't do very well. Think about what your audience might like. And so if we take a step forward from here, Angela, so the key takeaways: start with the Google My Business, rather be consistent, consider free tools. There are a few that are available. Engage with your audience, very important. You're trying to build a community, and the ideal scenario is that you build a community that advocates for you. That's like holy grail. If you can get to the point where other people are marketing you, then you've ticked all the boxes. So you need to build a community that love your brand so much that they are going around telling other people about your brand and your business. And so you don't build that by saying to people, buy this thing from me, buy this thing from me. Maybe you should buy this thing from me. That's not how you build a relationship. And so we spoke about this, the 3/3, and that's how you answer that. And then measure what matters. So, check what works, double down on what's working, drop what's not working. But again, the goal is to move towards sales, obviously, because a business requires sales, but there's an initial awareness phase that we start with. Angela, next slide. Yeah, I think we have answered some Q&As in the chat. Question about TikTok is IT department advised against using it due to security. Now, without getting into the geopolitics of it, the challenge, of course, in that respect is that TikTok is a Chinese-owned company. And so, like I've mentioned before, when you load content onto a platform, the content does move to that company's server farms, wherever in the world they are. And so people are very concerned about data living in the Chinese space, and depends on your stance on China and what you believe about China, whether you are happy with your video content being housed on their servers. On the flip side, everyone just generally is happier with the Americans. And so when we load content onto Facebook and Instagram, those go to US servers. So depending on your geopolitical views, you might be on one side of the fence or another in terms of where you trust your content to be. Fundraising tools, because not really my area of expertise. So I'm not going to step into that one. Unfortunately, I'm not sure if anyone else in the call wants to give him advice or has some experience on that. Unfortunately, it's not my area of expertise. Angela, I think I can hand over back to you at this point.
Great. Thank you so much, Aslam. Yes, I think we managed to get that done fast and sweet. There's no other questions. We can then just launch our last poll, if you don't mind. Just hang on for 1 or 2 more minutes. Right. It's going to pop onto your screen again now. It just takes a little bit of time. There we go. There it's coming. Right. So what we'd like to know is, at this point, with everything that Aslam has shared, thank you so much. Wow, I learned so much myself. Has your level of social media marketing confidence improved? Yes or no? So if you're not able to complete the poll on the screen, you can just type it in the chat. That'll be great. Thank you. So that's an easy one. Then obviously, please be honest. And then also just leaving here now today with this real power hour, if I can call it that. What new tools or ideas will you start using in your business? If you can just type a few of those in. Okay, thank you very much for those responses. So we'll just be close to closing off now. So this is our web page. So we have many resources for SMMEs on that page. So please feel free to go in there and explore. And once we've edited the recording, we'll place it there as well, but we will notify you as participants of the session. I will be sharing the presentation with you in the next day or 2, so that will be coming your way. And really just to say thank you so much for joining, and thank you so much to Aslam for giving his time and his busy day to share all those his amazing wisdom around this particular topic. Oh, Olivia, go ahead.
Hi, Aslam, and everybody, but especially Aslam, thank you very, very much for your time today. I know that you've got lots on your plate, but your insights have been very useful, and I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks, Olivia. Last chance. Any hands up? Anybody in the chat? We're getting some really great feedback. Thank you very much. Okay, I think we're good then. All right, awesome. Have a wonderful day further, everybody. Stay blessed. And yeah, good luck with your social media marketing. Experiment, as Aslam says, experiment.